Matthew, thanks for being with us on this Thursday. I hope you're doing well.
Best, yeah. Thanks for having me here. It's good to be. Well, I'd of course rather be seeing you in person here at the VPI house, but with interesting times, we work with what we have here, and so it's great to be on the show.
Your decision to do something for the health and safety of New York's people and New Jersey's people, and in most particular, the medical community at large during the peaks and valleys of this current pandemic. What are the effects of that since that time?
Well, initially, actually, it wasn't even in my mind. It was more the sense of relief once I found out that we were not going to be closed, because that Friday before the word came out that the state of New Jersey was going to be closed, oh, we thought that was it. We're going to have to close up our shop like many of our fellow manufacturers as well as dealers, and we were just trying to make plans to get through it. And we were working through the weekend. We were going to make as much product as possible, and then we were going to see what happened. And I openly told my staff, guys, I don't know what's going to happen next. Then the next day it comes in, and our operations manager came in, and she said, Matt, we're good. So initially I was relieved that we were able to keep going. Then my next thought was, we've got to do something. We at least have to make an effort. If we're going to have that luxury of being able to stay open and of course we took all the efforts to be on CDC level requirements, social distancing and everything, but we want to do something. And we initially it wasn't very good, the initial sanitizer. I mean, it worked, but we were just like a bunch of people just, I felt like we were making like prohibition level sanitizer. It was like green with the aloe. And then I put the word out there in a little Facebook group for Monmouth County over here in New Jersey, and we got overwhelmed with messages. But what really got me was when a hospital reached out. And that's when I was like, oh, hang on. I'm just a turntable guy trying to make sanitizer. We don't really know what we're doing. And that's when she said, we don't care. We've got nothing. We need this. That's when a light came on. And that's when we really got involved, where we then went through FDA levels to make sure that our sanitizer was on FDA approval. We looked into making the face shields for the medical professionals and also just first responders in general. And then looking into the intubation boxes and anything that could be useful for our essential workers. We felt that if we had the capability, I wanted to get it out there.
I can only imagine what emotions you must have felt or saw even through the masks when you were photographed with hospital workers, nurses, technicians at the entrances to these various hospitals. And you took a great deal of challenge to really step up to the forefront and say, I've got this, even if it feels like it might be a great risk to my own health.
I was so conflicted, to be honest with it, and especially in the beginning, because we knew Jane was pregnant since the beginning of this, so I mean, it was like not a big surprise. So Jane was staying home, and with the VPI staff members, those who were at risk, they worked from home. We did whatever we could to keep people safe. And while doing this, a part of me was thinking, this is good. I need to do this. The other part of me was like, what am I doing? If I get sick and bring it home to my pregnant wife and child, this is crazy. But, and Jane and I talked about a lot of stuff, and we were both like frustratingly on the same page where if we don't do it, who will? And it felt great seeing that it was useful and needed. And actually was kind of cool is a lot of people who reached out to me were former students back from when I was a high school teacher who are now nurses and doctors, and that was kind of cool having them be mainly the ones who reached out initially.
That's a lot of bravery, brother. If you really have to hear it from me, that was a ton of bravery.
Well, I definitely could have done it without my team, though. I mean, we got Carla, who works on a lot of aspects of the HW40 direct drive. Jan, one of our main builders, who does like the Avenger reference, anything signature. If it's a VPI sandwich, Jan probably makes it. And, he did the initial calculations of getting it all together. Carla did a lot of the mixing. Jose and Claire, my other staff members, like everybody just all had a hand in there. And even with Jan's wife, his wife is a nurse at Bayshore Medical Hospital here in New Jersey. And actually, it was Jan who had the idea of how his wife, who knows, because we had the meeting after the initial with the sanitizer. I said, guys, throw me ideas, anything we can do, if I can make it happen, all that fun stuff. And, so Jan's wife, she's the one who helped us prototype and make the face shield. And it was so effective because it was prototyped by a nurse.
your father, Harry, who has had a background in engineering and other fun stuff, found a way to bring a bit of his sort of geekdom into the audiophile marketplace through the creation of a base for a Denon direct drive turntable, which began the genesis of what would become VPI. This is roughly 1987, if my memory is correct on that.
So, the way the story goes, and I'm sure many have heard this before, where because my mom and dad were set. They had their jobs and lives, or at least a direction. I don't know the state as far as whether they were enjoying their jobs or what they were. I like to assume that they were. But my dad was a sheet metal mechanic. My mom was an English teacher. Everyone was doing their thing. And my dad comes home from work one day, and that's when my mom, the famous story is that my mom had good news and bad news. Dad's like, okay, great. What's the good news? My mom says you have an order for those thingies you're making in the basement. So of course my dad's excited. It's like, that's great. What's the bad news? So my mom says it's for 500. Get working. And then my mom and dad had to come up with a company name, and they went from there, starting with the cleaning machines. And then we go back in time to the HW9, because when my dad first made the HW9, it didn't get any legs. But then we became a company. We got out there. And then the Denon sales rep, who I actually met a few years ago, this was exciting. He's obviously since retired. And he told me all about how when he first met my dad, and it was like a funny situation where he comes in, and initially my dad's thinking that Denon's coming to sue him, because why would Denon talk to some guy from Brooklyn? And then he's just like, no, Harry, we want to buy your bass. We don't want to bother making it. We got the motor. We need something to isolate it. And then it just went from there, where VPI started making turntables on a regular basis, or rather the isolation base for the direct drive motor. This wasn't in the cards for me. I was set going down my path. And it's ironic. In a way, I followed my mom's path to a T, because my mom was a teacher, and I too became a teacher. And my mom and dad really didn't want me to get involved with this craziness. And once it all looks like all fun and games when you're watching mom and dad do it, but once you get involved, there's a lot more responsibilities, headaches, stress, just all sorts of things that you never expected. And I think my mom and dad didn't want this level of stress for me. And then I do remember when somebody had commented about that in a negative way, about, oh, you're just a teacher. And so then I said, well, let me ask you, how did my mom do? Oh, your mom was fantastic. She did such a great job and this and that. Said, good. So I have the same background as my mom, since she too was a teacher. And I do think that that was something that I was able to bring to the table from a different standpoint, that to me, I love the classroom. So to me now, everything is a classroom situation. If I can explain an aspect of our industry to somebody where they can really understand it, then to me, it's a good day. And there was a lot of pressure in the very beginning. And that CES, where I got to see you out there, Bess, and I think you were surprised to see me as well. The original plan had been, we had gotten Product of the Year by Stereophile magazine for the Classic 3. Mom obviously knew her time was limited, so the original plan was Mom and I were supposed to go to CES, and I was just the seeing eye dog. I was just going to be the guy to get Mom through. She could say goodbye to all of her friends. This was still at a time where CES had a lot of distributors going, so all of our international distributors and friends would be there. Unfortunately, Mom didn't make it. So then when I'm still making plans, my dad's like, what are you, crazy? What are you going to Vegas for? We're done. Just tell him to mail the award. And that's where we did get into it a lot back in the early days. And like I said, rightfully so, it was a big gamble to have the son who has been stepped away get involved with this. And when I went out there, and I've said it many times, if you look back at pictures of me wearing a three-piece suit, that's when I was totally full of it. That was my armor. That was, I know it's crazy to say it like that, but that's when I didn't really feel comfortable in my own skin. And to me, I would just put up the professional front and then just did the best I could. And, it didn't really hit until I went to collect the award. Well, the first thing that had happened was when an individual at CES in our industry, and to this day, I have no idea who it was, whether I was in shock or too overwhelmed. I don't recall who it was, but I went to the front and said, hey, I need my ticket. I don't know what I'm doing. I mean, I was a mess. I was a mess in a three-piece suit. And the second I said Sheila Weisfeld, that's when this person was like, "Oh, you're Sheila's son. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. No worries." And guided me through everything, got me a ticket, got me everything, showed me where to go. I mean, she left her post. It was like, "Hey, I'll watch this for a second," and took me around. And that's when it really hit me, because to me, waking up, mom and dad are mom and dad. You take for granted the people that you live with all the time. And that was like one of the first times I really saw my mom, well, and my dad on that larger scale of, wow, they've impacted a lot of people. They have relationships that go far beyond New Jersey. And here's the other thing, which my dad always brings up. He jokingly says that most of VPI was built with them going to very few shows. It was all just from their actions, the phone calls, the long phone calls with my mom.
We,
and
I was about to say we've experienced those. Those are always great memorable moments when I spoke with Sheila for a long time, just to say, is our order shipping? It was always
you hear all about me, and I still remember, because I was at VPI all throughout my life, but in different capacities, usually as the young kid helping out with the computers. And I remember there was one time, I think I was working on the website or who knows what, and my mom is just going on about me. I don't even know who it was. It could have been to you. And I turn, I'm embarrassed, and I'm just like, "Mom, they don't care. Just don't tell them." And mom's, "Hold on one second. Oh, I know that, but I'm going to tell them anyway." And she just kept on going, telling them all about, she was just telling whoever it was all about the karate tournament I just did, or who knows what, the musical theater performance I was in. And I think that was a lot about VPI, though, because people knew that when you were calling VPI, you weren't calling a box moving company. You were calling Sheila. You're calling Harry. You're calling a human being and even today I tell people, if you open up a VPI and there's a problem with it, it's not because we woke up saying, let's screw this guy today. No, it's just human beings, just the everyday of life, that things happen, and everyone's just trying to do the best they can while putting their best effort and passion into every product that's out there.
It's now 25 years into my employment at Music Direct. I joined in August of 1995, after many different retail environments, many different work environments that were not part of the audio spectrum. And when I first joined Music Direct and got a chance to work with the HW19 that we talked about at the start of our program, one of the things that went through my mind is this is a piece of machinery. Since then, I've watched a number of iterations of turntables that your father developed, and many of which had gone on to win numerous awards worldwide. I can't count the number of times when I'd sit there and talk to a customer about his or her TNT turntable, and the number of different ARM iterations and the amount of changes that went on. In the time that I've been there at Music Direct, however, these past few years, this part of the decade, under your watch, is quite possibly one of the most, dare I say it, it's probably one of the most game-changing iterations of the VPI brand under your stewardship. And I have to ask, you come into the company, you've been able to shake off all that sort of nervousness. You've had to remember the fact that there's a legacy behind you, and that your father is kind of basically saying, I'm going to sit back a little bit, which of course we now know not true. But
he has fun. It's great. He gets to have all the fun with none of the responsibility now, right, Dad?
Yeah, there we go. He has.
You know what he's doing right now? I swear to you, he's actually recording reel-to-reel tapes with a Tascam unit. He's having a ball. Anyway, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Life beyond VPI. So you have the enviable task of trying to, create a line of turntables that would ultimately shake up the VPI messaging of, we're making a ton of turntables in varying degrees of design. We're going to focus on the stuff of the past. But you chose an opportunity to move everything into one nice, big blue ball. And in the case of the introduction of the first generation Prime Scout, the Prime Signature, and all the other turntables that have been under your command, these are turntables that people were wondering, what is he doing? What this change is completely different. But to our surprise, when we started opening up the units at Music Direct in Chicago, my first reaction is, absolutely, sell a ton of these. Let's keep going, And the result, of course, is allowed our business to look at VPI as literally the number one selling turntable in its price points. And I think that's really a testament to what goes on in your watch. So I ask, what were you thinking? What did you deploy to get these turntables into the hands of people's minds and eyes, and how has the reception been since those days?
Well, and there's a couple of things to it, and one of the things is kind of funny because it was my dad who taught me this, yet he was having too much fun with different versions. He never really did it himself. But the first thing which I learned from my dad is that when someone comes in, when you think of a movie theater, you walk into the movie theater and you want to buy a soda. You have a small, medium, large. You'll probably get a medium, or if you're really thirsty, get that large. But if you walk in and all of a sudden there's a small, medium, large, big gulp extreme, big gulp plus, whatever it is, you're like, too many choices. Nah, you know what? I don't need that soda. Then you walk away with no soda, and you'll be thirsty halfway through the movie. So too many lines, too many choices, or rather we wanted to focus it so that you still had all the options of a VPI, but we gave you a good, better, and best option right off the bat. But then the other side of it came from the classroom. Because when I saw the writing on the wall that I was going to have to get involved with this, the first thing I did was I turned to the magazine reviews, I turned to the online forums, I turned to everything. You know what I found? It was a mess. It was an absolute confusing mess. It was all out there, but it felt like Google with no search bar. It was just like you just had to pray that what I was finding is that you had to pray that you tacked on to a mentor that was nice enough to guide you. Then you have to hope that that mentor wasn't crazy and steering you down the wrong direction. And that's why I just felt that this whole industry is just too confusing. There's just so many options that it's as intimidating as can be. And so that's why I wanted to make it so that you can have the options, but without the intimidation, and just keep that clean picture. But then the big one was, I was the new kid on the block. And one thing that really used to bother me was, oh, look at you, just taking over mommy and daddy's business, when it was very far from that. The fighting I had to do with my dad to keep it going. And again, I say it with love. That was a long time ago, and I understood where he was coming from with that. But me having, I was set with what I was doing, just like my mom and dad when they started. I was a tenured teacher at Homedale High School. I was a college professor at both Monmouth University and Brookdale. I had a great schedule. It was just, everything was good. There was no stress, no nothing. And when I gutted my life to do this, there was so much into it. And I felt like I would always be the kid on the coattails unless I did something that was paying homage to the foundation and traditions of VPI, but at the same time paving my own way, showing that, hey, Harry may or may not retire at that time, but that's okay. The car's in good hands. Say you can pass the keys to the kid. The kid could take that car and just not do such a hot job with that, or they can keep it on track. And that's why with the Prime, and my dad, he wasn't even part of that one. He didn't even know I was doing that. I got to the point where I was telling people involved that I'm going to be really ticked at them if they even breathe anything to Harry, to my dad, about this. And I took cues from the greatest hits of VPI, I guess you could say, having a suspension on the Prime similar to an HW19, having a motor pod reminiscent of an Aries table, which was named after me. I'm the Aries. Having a VTA on the fly base like the TNT, having a platter like the classic platter, having that thick machined aluminum, having a chassis made out of the same material as the Scout, which is a very easy to use material, yet is also sonically dead. Just a great material to use. And then the nice part that I felt I was able to add to it as my little touch was having the JMW arm, inspired by my brother John, but now 3D printed. And I'm always very quick to correct people when they're like, oh, wow, you designed the 3D arm. I didn't design it. My dad and brother designed it. I was just able to come along later and add my taste to it and elevate it. I like to think add a little bit of my touch to become part of the whole story. And when that was all done, and I still remember when we, man, the first prototype, which we still have somewhere, my actual corner post didn't come in time, so we actually had to take the TNT corner post, and an old one, throw them on the lathe, machine them down just to make them fit, so we had them in time for the New York show. And when Dad first saw it, I mean, he was blown away. I mean, he wasn't expecting it, and the sound that we got, the overall intuitive of it, and everything I tried to do from the Prime and then the rest of the VPI product line was just to have a consistency, just to have likeness in parts, just more across the board from a lean manufacturing standpoint.
I I have to ask with regard to the lean process, as a result, all of the turntables that are now in production, including some of the really wonderful ones like the Titan and the Avengers that have come out, are much cleaner on appearance. They no longer have that sort of, oh, well, this was put together at the last minute. You can tell where there's a little bit of a shading here or a little bit of that. And that can be bothersome for a lot of customers and certainly for some dealers who have been trying to, get their game on and trying to make sure that they offer a product like a VPI. And I suppose I have to say, you've gone to different extremes as well. Of course, you're best known for the record cleaning machine, the introduction of the HW60.5, which now has its roots in places like the Library of Congress as a reference device. But there's also more ahead for you, and we go right into the 40th anniversary. And at this point, this involves the hire of Mike Benninger as someone who has a very distinguished history in product design and electronics. And the stage was set to take an idea that some might consider challenging, others might consider excellent, and that is to make a direct drive turntable. And I know that VPI had done that earlier, and in the case of the HW40, it's a completely different animal. It's a breathtaking piece of machinery. What was going on there in everyone's mind in the team spirit of creating this product?
Well, with that, we were initially creating the Classic Direct. We were very proud of what we had accomplished with that. We had this engineer, Paul Tesney, that we had worked with up in Pennsylvania. He tried running for president, mind you, and he did not win, but he made a good effort. We worked with him on that initially with the Classic Direct, and obviously we know what we got with the results of that, but it was so expensive and so difficult to build. That was the big issue that we had with the Classic Direct. The price tag, the fact that what really bothered me with the Classic Direct was I needed Harry. I needed Paul. Paul was already half retired. That was already. And my dad, he wasn't too far off. And he had a situation where a direct drive motor can got damaged in shipping, and the dealer was stuck. He had to send it back here, and on our kitchen table, Dad fixed it in like 10 minutes. But that's the kind of thing where you can't easily train someone to just do that. I mentioned before about Carla, who has helped us with our hand sanitizer. Carla does not have an engineering background. She does not have any type of building background. Now she does that same work that in the past only my dad could do. So making it as far as why we went for the HW40 in that specific design, when we came to the 40th anniversary of our company, we felt that that's important. That's special. We need to really do something that showcases the history and where we've been. And of course, everybody knows the HW19, but as we talked about before about the HW9, the isolation base with that Denon drive motor, yeah, that was great. That was cool, but it wasn't us. It was Denon. We felt 40 years later we wanted to have our own package with our motor, our arm, our engineering, all in a similar package of what the original HW9 once was, with that HW40 feel of having that direct drive motor being dead accurate of the speed, being self-correcting. So I can even touch. Well, here on this table here, if I were to touch this platter while it's playing, it'll hold its speed. It'll stay locked in at 33.33. And just those ideas there of making it where you have the original engineering of VPI, or I'm sorry, the concept, but now with current day technology and engineering with the current team, and being able to have it where it's easily repeated and have a better building process. And even out in the field where if something goes wrong, again, I had a situation at an audio show. We know how audio shows go. I got I won't even go into what happened. It was a complete UPS or FedEx interesting situation.
Oh no, you blame the drayage people. That's who you blame.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're right. Actually, the shows are not those. It is the drayage people. So whatever the situation was, I just remembered that I ended up getting a mess of a table, and just like that, we were able to make it work in the field. We were able to the arm got ripped off, all of this stuff happened, and no problem. We just popped out the motor can, put that back in, put another one in, put the arm in. Nothing crazy, all repeatable. And to me, the big thing about all VPI products is that whether it's today, tomorrow, or 30 years from now, I want all VPI customers to have a product that if it gets damaged, if it gets worn out, if something happens, we can fix it, or it can be fixed in some form or another. And that's one of the things I'm really proud of with the HW40, where it does, not that the Classic Direct doesn't stand the test of time, but it has that level of expertise with the Classic Direct. And with the HW40, it's still achievable with that VPI knowledge of making it a more attainable table product at, well, half the price. That was one of the other things we were proud of, the fact that we hit a better product at half the price. Back when we did the unveiling and the reviewers were all in this room right here, and actually you were there, Bess.
I was there. We did a live feed
Yep.
while I was in New Jersey for that, so yes.
Yeah, and the first reaction when I pulled the sheet out from the table and showed the HW40, the first reaction from Michael Fremer, when I said it's 15,000, it's still made in the U.S. Yeah. How or whatever he said, I don't remember now. We can go back to your video on musicdirect.com to look at that. But but all kidding aside, no company does that. That's, to us, it's important to get the sound quality and get that performance. Oh, you want to throw something out there?
It's because we're not crooks.
You heard it from Harry.
Thank you, Harry.
See, he's retired, so he can throw hand grenades like that. So
suddenly
and
our broadcast
that's what it
became
is.
our broadcast became AM radio, talk radio for a little while there. Harry from Homedale, you're on the air. Anyway, you were saying.
Yeah, so just going for that concept of taking our initial engineering just making it better at half the price, and with a better tone arm, a better chassis, better isolation, and then again having it where the whole VPI team could put it together with a dust cover. Wanna? Yeah.
No.
Okay.
On the price factor,
Oh.
why do you want to pay?
Wait, here.
Why do you want to pay for a company who can only build 5 at a time, and you pay exorbitant amounts of money, or you buy one from a company that can build 500, and you pay half the price because that's what it cost?
I understand.
I'm cheap. That's how I look at life. That's it.
Thank you.
Oh man.
Like I said, a caller from Homedale, New Jersey. Thank you, Harry. So the 40th
Old Bridge, actually.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. The 40th anniversary turntable obviously has re-revolutionized the brand for you, and of course, as we could see from the Vanquish, which is directly behind you, that's another feat of engineering that's going to really help gauge the future of VPI when it comes to turntable design. But we also have to look at some key products. Earlier, we talked about the HW16.5, revolutionized
Yes.
record cleaning. But here we are in 2020, coming up on 2021. People are definitely going to be home for a little while, and they have giant record collections, kind of like the one you see behind here. But the question is record cleaning technologies. We've seen the innovation of ultrasonic record cleaning machines. I'm sure you and Harry have been dabbling into that subject. My question to you is there something like that in VPI's future in terms of product development?
I'll tell you, COVID really kicked everyone in the, it's so here's the thing about ultrasonic. Very difficult to make in an inexpensive way or cost-effective way, let's say, in America. And that's what we've been shooting for. We have lots of options. We've had lots of companies reach out to us who are willing to build ultrasonic machines for us at our spec. None of them are in the States. Now, we have had people reach out and say, Matt, that's okay. You make everything else in America. Do this one overseas. And I like to think that we never come to that. And I would rather try to do it here first. Or frankly, just not do it at all. Because I feel like if we can't accomplish it here with our own ability and everything else, there are plenty of great ultrasonic machines out there. And one of the problems, though, unfortunately, is a lot of them do break, have service issues, whatever it might be. And that's why we do have our own opinion of how we would make it. And this is what's frustrating. And I mentioned COVID. We really started to make some good headway. Then the world shut down. However, I did get a call yesterday from one of those individuals. And as we're talking, I'm realizing I never called her back. So Karen, if you're out there and you're watching this video right now, I swear I'll call you back today. So it is something that we have been looking into. I mean, in a way, we've done it technically. We just haven't been able to technically do it at a price tag that is tolerable. And, and I've been told that, $4,000 for an ultrasonic, that's okay. It's not okay for us. We just don't like that price tag. It shouldn't cost $4,000 to clean your records. So I mean, it's like my dad was saying before about, pricing and just making it. And, well, no, I'm not going to repeat what he said, but you get my jive over here. What I'm trying to say with this, whereas we want you to be able to clean your records. We don't want you to have to take a second mortgage out on your home, and we want to be able to make it in the States with the proper VPI paradigm that we're used to. And so otherwise, there's other brands that can do it. So if all goes well, then hopefully 2021 will yield another product in a cleaning type of way for VPI.
Well, we look forward to that. Also, if I could delve into your crystal ball, have you been also, besides the record cleaning machine, because people always want to know on these kind of broadcasts, what's in the pipeline for more product from VPI at this point? Yes, I know we're still in COVID land, but there must be other wonderful magic tricks up your sleeve.
Don't say anything crazy. We're live. Actually, guys, that's Anthony, the guy who's responsible for building the whole VPI house. This guy, if anyone in the New Jersey and New York area, no joke, if anyone out there needs to build a sound system, Anthony Cucco of what's the name of your company, Anthony? What's the name of your company? Anthony Lewis Custom Home Builders. He goes, this guy, well, yeah, he's able to make a system that works. Guys, if you're saying anything wacky, just head one of the back rooms.
This isn't a family show anymore. It's okay, really.
Actually, you know what? It's funny what he's doing. He's been actually improving upon the lighting on the tables because, hey, COVID-19, no one's here. So if there's ever a time to make little improvements here and there, now's the time to do it. But I'm sorry, Bez. What were you asking me a second ago?
I was
saying new products. Boy,
new
we've
products.
Done a lot
That's
of
correct.
Cool stuff. Actually, one which is right here. We've been having a lot of fun with anyone who's been watching our live streams. We've been toying with a 14-inch no offset angle tone arm. So we've been having a lot of fun. Are they too loud for you here? Are we picking them up? I can yell at them.
No, just
we're good.
It's happening, man. Just let it ride.
It's happening. It's all good.
So 14 inches. That's pretty impressive, I have to admit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's something that my dad's always he's always messed around with. We actually did launch it. Technically, we launched it at Capitol Audio Fest, but but then before we can do more with it, again, COVID-19. But it has given us an opportunity to mess around with it more, so you can see it here. I think you can see it where it actually is on its own separate pod. So it'll be something. This is more of a Harry Weisfeld type of cool tweak that isn't really going to impact the standard product line. But hey, there's customers out there that want that ability to have that extra cool tone arm and put it on your Prime signature, your Prime Scout, which would be so overkill. Please don't do that. Just buy more records. But if you are, so we do have a pod that was going to be coming out that's you'll be able to mount any tone arm on there. You'll be able to adjust the height. It's obviously being made for our 14-inch tone arm, but we're making it in a flexible way that you can throw whatever tone arm that you fancy on there. Our Avenger turntable is our sandbox table, but not everybody has an Avenger. Not everyone could jump in with an Avenger. So this pod gives you the ability to throw the arm on any VPI product that you may have, or any other product that you may have, even if it's a non-VPI brand. So that's one of the first exciting things we're looking at. We are also continuing to look into our technology, and I think you'll be seeing some more cool stuff with that. And there's a whole bunch of stuff that we actually showcased at the dealer training recently, which I know Music Direct got a sneak peek at. So all that fun stuff we showed you guys before, those are items we hope to have out there as far as a revamp with our phone stage, with the Voyager, having with our speed box, our ADS, the tachometer that people have asked about, and other fun motor technology items I think you'll all be very excited about. And which I can't really speak too much of, but the phone call that you got to hear about earlier here, Bess, we made some good progress at the factory on a prototype that I am extraordinarily excited to mess with.
What phone call? I didn't recall a phone call before we went on air.
Of course not. So, but no, my goal at VPI is we want consistency. We want you all to know where we're going, but we also want to keep elevating and doing as technology. Well, you know what? Our direct drive. I won't stand here or sit here rather. I won't say that we've got the world's greatest direct drive motor in the world. I like to think we do, but I won't say that. But what I can say is we have the world's most current and advanced technological motor at this moment. Well, unless something new has happened in the midst of COVID, which we'll see what happens. But so that's one of the nice things about the size of our company, our goal, our drive. We always try to get the most cutting edge of technology, but also make sure there's a trickle down factor so that other VPI customers can partake with that as well.
Matt Weisfeld, I can't believe it. We're at the top of the hour, and despite the little bit of technical glitchery that was going on in our world, doggone Uverse, we're going to actually have to hang it up. It's a terrible thing for me to do, but not before I tell you and the rest of the team at VPI and from all of us at Music Direct in Chicago how deeply grateful we are to have you as one of our longest lasting, longest standing, longest successful electronics manufacturers here in the good old US of A. And I remain deeply impressed, respectful, and above all, happy to help you through the process of growing your company the way that you have for all these years. So continued success to you. Much love to Jane and to Shyla and to the soon-to-be second as it enters this crazy little world of ours. And to all of your friends and family at VPI. Thank you so much for being with us. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Bess. I'll see you next time.
My pleasure.